Hello, and welcome to our RStudio SAS video module as part of the 7 Bridges onboarding lesson. While watching this video, please keep in mind some key concepts. RStudio on the CGC allows you to perform analyses directly where your data lives. RStudio also allows you to save outputs of analyses to your projects on the CGC. For this example, we'll be using SAS as the computational environment. Lastly, RStudio is tightly integrated with the CGC. At the end of the video, you should be able to create a new RStudio instance using the SAS Studio environment, import a file from your CGC project, and modify and save that file back to your CGC project. For this video, I will demonstrate the following. First, I'll navigate to RStudio. 2, I'll create a new RStudio instance using the SAS environment. 3, I'll import a file from the CGC project. And 4, I'll modify and save that file back to the CGC project. Before we begin, I'd like to provide some clarification. The file structure on the 7 Bridges platform looks like this. We have SB Genomics, and then from there we have output files, projects, and workspace. Project files is where your files are located and can be accessed from. However, this is read-only, not writable. Output files is write-only, not readable. So you can save files to this directory and they will show up in your files view. And lastly, Workspace is the special directory created for interactive sessions. This is where you will save your markdown files. This directory is read and write, but files here are not accessible to apps. With that said, any files you want to interact with from your CGC project will be read in from project files. And any file you want to save back to your project for future interaction will be saved to output files. Both of these can be accessed from the Files tab using the GUI. You can see the main dashboard page for our RStudio demonstration. If we navigate to the Files tab, you can see that I've preloaded this project with a breast cancer dataset. Now this is a simple generated dataset that is in Excel format. The first step is to navigate to RStudio. From here, you'll see that there are no analyses currently taking place. So we'd like to create a new analysis. Once you click this button, several options appear. So we have many RStudio environments available. You can see Jupyter Lab is the first one, and that is a Python environment. We have RStudio, Galaxy, SAS, and more. For today's demo, I'll be using SAS Studio. So from here, what we want to do is give our analysis a name, and I'm just going to call it SAS Demo. So SAS Demo. You'll see some options here for environmental setup, and we have just the SAS Business Intelligent, which is the default environment, as well as instance type, which you can specify. Usually I just leave this as the default for now. And then one of my favorite features is suspend time. So what this says is after 30 minutes of inactivity, this will automatically close out your analysis. So you won't accrue any costs associated with this. Once we're ready, we'll click Start. From here, an instance is being initialized. Alright, so when you log into SAS Studio, this is what you'll see. So the default tab is this Code tab for our first SAS program. You can easily navigate between tabs though by clicking them. So here's a Log tab where you'll see any errors or warnings, things of that nature. And then lastly, there's a Results tab associated with this Program 1. So here again is where results will start to populate. So switching back to the Code tab, you'll see some additional options along this top here, such as saving your program, and more. You can search by line and so forth. Other ways to navigate using SAS Studio are along the top blue banner here. You can click on this for some options, such as creating a new SAS program. If you'd like to import data, you can do it that way, as well as some other options like closing the tabs and changing your view. On the left-hand side, you'll see a navigation pane. So it's quite easy to navigate using SAS Studio by clicking on My Folders as an option here. If we expand this, you'll see the different folders available in the Seven Bridges platform. So we are currently in the Workspace repository. However, if you'd like to access any of the files from our project, you can select Project Files and expand this. So as you can see, we have our original breast cancer data set is available to us here, as well as some modified copies from other demos. So again, project files, I'd like to remind you, is read-only. So we can use this to import data sets from our CGC projects. However, when we go to save a data set, we will save to the output files repository. So this output files is write-only. Once you go back to your CGC project, these will all be merged together, so you won't really have to know the difference. It's just to write to your files in the CGC project, we have to write to the output files. So the first thing we want to do is import our breast cancer data. There are a few ways to do this. First thing you can do is just type in the code for importing data into SAS. But an easier method is to either click this button here and select New Import Data, or simply go to the data itself, right-click it, and then select Import again. Now, if you try to import an Excel file into SAS, you might get an error code. So what I'm going to do is import this copy that is a .csv file. So I'm going to select this file from Project Files, right-click it, and then select Import Data. You'll see that a new tab has opened up here, and this is just information about what I'm asking it to do, which is import this data file. So the code is auto-generated here, and it's using proc import to select this data file, which is specified in this path name. So all I want to do is click Run, which is right here, or F3. It will run and then open a new table. So from here, we can, I'm going to pull this up just a little bit to show you better, but we have our first tab, which contains the code, and then a log of what happened. So you'll see if there are errors or warnings. There are notes here, and this just tells you how it created and imported this data. So all of the measurements in our data frame are here. You can select the Results tab to view some information about the data table. So the different types of variables, the length of these, and some additional information. And then finally, you can select Output Data to actually view our data set. And you can interact with it this way, you can filter and do more. Once we're ready and we want to save this back into our CGC project, what we'll have to do is navigate back to code. And then from here, you'll notice you can't actually edit this code until you select Edit. So push the Edit button and you'll be taken to a new program. So this is the code that we had to import this data. And we're going to add a few additional lines here to export the data back to our project files. So to do that, we'll have to write to the output files. So once we're ready to export our data file back into our CGC project, we'll need to use the following code. So earlier, to get the data in, we used proc import. This time we'll use proc export. And then the data that we want to export is the work import one, which is just the name of the data file as I imported it. and then I am going to be saving it to our outputs file or output files directory. And I got this path specifically by navigating on the left, right-clicking output files, and then selecting properties. From here, you'll see the location. So this is home, SAS demo, output-files. You can also, instead of typing this, type SB genomics, and then leave the rest the same, output files, and then I gave it a name here. So breast cancer _ SAS.csv. Finally, we're just specifying that it should be a CSV file that we are exporting. And then I'm going to highlight just this chunk here and select Run. From here, you'll see that we got some notes about this, and you'll immediately see that the file has been exported into our output files. So when you close out SAS Studio by clicking Stop, and then you navigate back to the CGC dashboard in your project space, if you click that Files tab, you'll see this file along with all of the others here. Once we've stopped our analysis, you'll see this is the screen that you're taken to. In our workspace, we have our SAS file where we were writing our code, as well as the outputs here, which is the breast cancer dataset in SAS. Now, if I navigate to the Files tab, you'll notice some of the other files from previous demonstrations, but the latest one here is the breast cancer SAS dataset. So this is the one that we imported into SAS and then exported back to our CGC project. Some key takeaways from this video are: Data Studio on the CGC allows you to perform analyses directly where your data is using your preferred compute environment. 2. Data Studio on the CGC allows you to save outputs of analyses back to your projects on the CGC. And 3. SAS Studio works just as it does on your local machine, but with tight integration to the CGC. As always, don't hesitate to contact support directly from the platform if you're experiencing difficulty or have a question. You can click on the blue question mark button from any page on our platform to directly contact our 24/7 help desk.